Okay, people, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that sometimes requires magic. Some people think that it's majestic. Things happen. It's the camshaft. It's not magic. It's mechanical. Everything works in sync with everything else. And I'm by no means a camshaft expert, but I will say this. We've had a lot of problems lately with trying to convert a nitrous motor to a naturally aspirated motor. We've had some success. I do have a Mobile track record currently with a 522 with a nitrous motor, small tire. So what we're attempting to do is go after several track records in the local area and try to break those records or set those records if they don't have them. So here we are today. We've been to Tennessee. If you watched the last video, we went to Tennessee and we tried to install a naturally aspirated camshaft in this nitrous motor to try to get a little bit more out of it, and we were unsuccessful because of piston to valve clearance. If you don't know what piston to valve clearance is, when the piston goes up, it chases the exhaust valve. I think. When it goes down, the intake valve chases the piston. So you got to have a camshaft that where you have adequate clearance between the piston and the valves as they're moving. They're going crazy in there. You don't want them touching. So you have to take a lot of consideration of valve train movement and rod stretch, all kinds of stuff. And let me reiterate, I'm not an expert at camshaft, but I'm learning, and I'm trying to go fast on without a power adder. So we're going to have to learn this if we want to be successful in doing so. So now, digging a little bit deeper into this, we put the nitrous camshaft back in the motor. Now there's several myths going around. You talk to experts here, and then talk to experts here, and everybody's got a different idea of what's going on in there and how to check piston to valve clearance. Most people, when they have a motor on the stand and they're building the motor, they check piston to valve clearance with clay. Put clay around the piston, around the valve reliefs, put the head back on, run the motor through its cycle, and check to see how thick the clay is after it's smushed on the valve. And that tells you how much clearance you have. Also, if you have the motor in a car like this is, you check it with a dial indicator on the rocker arm with a light spring. You put a light spring on the head, pull the rocker arm down at whatever position you want, and measure it with a dial indicator. Now, we did that in Tennessee. If you go back and watch the video, we did that, and we just didn't have enough clearance. We had like 30 or 40 thousandths clearance, and that's not enough for me to be comfortable with. So the dilemma is checking the piston to valve clearance with a regular spring that you would normally run on the motor versus checking it with a light spring. Some people say you get better clearance, you get your real clearance with the actual valve spring you're going to run. Some people say it doesn't matter if you use a light spring and check it. We're going to bust that myth today and do both of them on a camshaft that I know has been run and it's got plenty of clearance. So we're going to see exactly what's going on. So stay tuned. We got a lot of work to do, and we're about to get it going. Let's go. All right. We got everything set up back just the way it was when I was running it. The camshaft was 6 degrees advanced. So we're going to see what kind of piston to valve clearance we got at 6 degrees advanced. I know for a fact that 6 degrees, 6 or 7 degrees, somewhere in there is where it was. And I was running this motor, and I'm going to show you how much piston to valve clearance there is. Okay, so if you look at this here high performance dial indicator we got set up, I'm gonna zero it out. All right. Right there on the exhaust, I got roughly 35 thousandths clearance. All right. Let me move it a little bit. That's damn near 30 thousandths. All right, a little more, a couple degrees. All right, it's getting better. There's 35 again. And we go to top dead center, and then we got a bunch of clearance. We got, well, we say a bunch of clearance. That's $60. So if I go back to 10 degrees on the crank, we got 30 thousandths clearance. Let me go back the other way. There's 12 degrees. It's getting better. 38, 36, 35, somewhere in there. So this motor was running with 35 thousandths clearance, piston to valve clearance on the exhaust. So I'm gonna switch this over to the intake. I'm gonna go to 15 degrees on the crank on the other side. That's 35. I'm gonna move it to 10. And there's 15 thousandths. Move it to 6. Eight thousandths. I need a longer ratchet. Let's see. All right, we're getting better. There's 18. So 15 degrees on the intake. Let me get a. Okay, so we tested with the dial indicator. And on the exhaust, we had, what was it, 35? Who cares? Was it 35? All right, and the intake was the smallest amount was 8 thousandths. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to pull the head off. We're going to put clay on 1 and 3. We're going to test it with the soft spring, and we're going to test it with the spring that we run on the motor on there, and then we're going to measure the difference between the two, and then the difference with the dial indicator, and we're going to bust a myth. So we're going to see directly what in the hell is going on. All right, let's go. All right, we got the clay on there. We got the head back on. I'm setting the rocker arms to 0 lash because that's where I run them at while it's cold. So we got 0 lash. All right, here we go. Roll the motor over. I wonder what that was. Run through a couple cycles. All right. Now we're going to see what scenario with the spring gives us the best clearance, if any. Didn't even touch that one. The first time we put clay on the piston, I don't think we had enough on the intake, so we redid it just so we can get a more accurate reading of how much clearance we had on the intake side. So we've already went back through it. We're going to pull the head back off and check the clearance again. Oh yeah, it smashed at that time. Both of them good. Pulled it up right there. No, I didn't. All right, let's check the light spring first. Let me get my eyeballs. So right there we got 140. 120. 120. 120. 120. 120. It's all going to be 120. 122. Wow. 120. 120. It's all 120. Wow, that's a huge difference. Now let's compare that to the intake on the heavy spring. $130, $125, $125, $128, $120, $30, $25, $20, $20, $122, $125. All right. Well, it didn't make that much difference with the light spring. This time, it didn't make on the intake. Where were we at on the exhaust on a dial indicator? Was it 40?
Yeah.
And on the intake was 008. All right. All right. Clay with a light spring on the intake was 120 and 120 with the heavy spring. So let's check the exhaust. Wow. 130. 100. 110. Bunch. 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 There's where it's thin. Let's see. That's going to be 70. 75. 80. Bunch. 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 So right up here at the top is, it looks like there's so it looks like 70 with the heavy spring on the exhaust. With the heavy spring. With the light spring, up here, $64. That's 48. $55. $55. $70. So right here is 45. So I'm going to call our reading on the exhaust with the light spring 45. So the only difference we found with the light spring was on the exhaust. I'm not sure why that would be, but that's a bunch. That's 110. Oh, 110. $110. $105. Up here tight, it's smaller. $110. So 105 with the light spring. 105. Let's check the same spot up tight where that valve relief is with the heavy spring. $120. $20. $20. $120. It's all 120. So there's an obvious difference between checking it with a dial indicator or with a rocker arm on it with a light spring. Obvious difference from that to with a light spring with clay, and then that huge difference from heavy spring with clay. So with that being said, I guess the myth is busted. Or no, the myth is correct that checking it with the original spring that you're going to run with clay is the way to go on this particular engine. Keep in consideration, I'm not a cam expert, I'm a driving expert, so I feel a whole lot better about this camshaft now. So I guess people do different things for different reasons. They check it. There's 3 different ways to check a piston and valve clearance. There's probably 120 ways to check a piston and valve clearance, but we tried it 3 ways and we got the best results with clay with the original spring. So thanks for watching. Make sure if you like this type of content, like and subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll be back.